There's no place to escape to.
This is the last podcast.
On the left. That's when the cannibalism started.
What was that?
Just reminds me of bad community theater.
No, still trying to say I'm Australian.
They're butchering my work of Crocodile Dundee, the musical, here in Portage County.
There's a crocodile in my marriage. How I wish there wasn't a crocodile in my marriage.
There's just no good actors in Portage County, Wisconsin, when you try to put on one of the greatest pieces in theatrical history.
Crikey, mate.
Crocodile Dundee, the musical. Are we good to go?
Yeah.
That's Marcus Parks. I'm Ben Kissel. Very talented linguist is with us today.
Crikey. My name is Lionel Crikey, and I'm from way back in the 8-pack, Australia.
If you didn't say Australia, I would be very confused.
Where am I from?
Australia. Or Jennifer Aniston just murdered you in the original Leprechaun film, because you also sound like a leprechaun to some degree.
Closer, Jennifer Aniston.
The Australian leprechaun.
I'm Warwick Davis.
I love that original Leprechaun, by the way. That's before Jennifer Aniston's nose job, and I thought she was more attractive.
You're always more attractive pre-nose job. I like a big nose.
I do too. Anyway, that was a great lead-in, because today we're discussing Australian serial killers.
God, I hope we are.
And I cannot believe, I cannot believe how long it's taken us to get to this subject. Turns out, don't go backpacking. Everyone's crazy.
Australia is a dangerous place. Now, we actually have a lot of listeners in Australia. Baldy, actually, our friend Baldy just had a birthday. Happy birthday, Baldy.
Happy birthday, Baldy.
And you are one of the last survivors of a horrible country. Get out of there.
Go away immediately.
Yeah, it's fucking horrifying. Every time I read about this, too, because it's, because I hear a lot of the crime comes from, I learned a term called bogan.
Bogan?
Bogan it's like redneck. It's Australian redneck. Please, if I am fucking horribly ignorant, Australians, I guess go fuck yourself. I don't mean to say that. I don't mean, please correct me.
Well, I think the irony is if you are horribly ignorant, they will accept you as one of their own.
But this is a group of, it seems that the majority of these crimes that we're going to study come from this area of Australia, which is out in the outback. Now, we're going to do a second part to this web series, to this episode, which is going to probably feature more of the city mouse killers.
Sure.
But these are our country mouse killers.
And so for Australia, I mean, obviously this is a lot of like woods, a lot of outback scenarios. It's sort of the equivalent of what we considered the monsters during the nuclear wasteland that was during The Hills Have Eyes.
Yes.
Like this is their equivalent, but they're just real people who live in the woods, but they didn't study like Kaczynski.
No.
They were not out there doing science.
No, they were fucking their sisters.
They were in intercourse with their sisters.
I will say, and you hear that often, every one of these docs I watch based on, because we're going to cover a rather notorious killer named Ivan Milat. I think it's
Ivan Milat.
Ivan Milat.
No, it's Ivan.
I'm trying my best.
I'm not even going to participate.
And he was a part of a big clan of people that they described as being like a family from the American South. And we heard the American South over and over again because it's basically, you got all these families just kind of out in the woods with nothing but like a crick and, a little mazy day to fuck.
It's like if Texas was a continent.
Yes.
Right. I mean, that's the thing, because in the United States, there are cities that actually exist.
Well,
and
there
really
are cities in Australia, but they're next to the nice beaches, and you got the Opera House, and you got Lord of the Rings up in the north.
Right, but if you would go to a nice-sized town in Australia, you'd be like, this is pretty rural, and they'd be like, no, this is where all the educated people are. And then you can imagine Perth, and then 45 miles out. I mean, you're getting to a real bunch of psychopaths.
But Perth has got a good number of serial killers, which we'll cover in the second episode as well.
Yeah, we've got a good number of listeners from Perth as well.
I believe Zorba, one of our good friends, Zorba. She
Be careful out there, Zorba. You are obviously one of the victims of these people.
Well, yes, we are starting with Ivan Milat, also known as the perpetrator of the backpacker murders.
Now, this is probably just one of a series of dudes that were probably a part of the backpacker murders.
Yeah.
Because it seems like this just happened a lot. Because people go from Europe, the pasty white knees of Europe go to Australia to get some sun, and when they get there, a lot of the times they don't make it back.
I'm lost. What should I do? Oh, I'm going to trust that guy with the broken down car and the big knife hanging out of his teeth.
Oh, you want to see a snake? I got one right here.
That's a peanut. Next thing you know.
Yeah.
Well, all of this happened in the 1990s. 7 young people between the ages of of 19 and 22 were discovered partly buried in the Balango State Forest.
Also, most places in Australia sound like locations in HR Puffin stuff.
Balango?
You know?
Yeah.
They were 3 of them were German, 2 of them were British, and 2 of them were Australians from Melbourne.
Partially buried. Was it just leave their butts exposed? I mean, how do you partially bury? I figure, if you're burying, just finish the job.
What you'll find in his calling card, Ivan Milat's calling card, was that the bodies would kind of be left out, tied up with a pyramid of sticks over them, like you can't see them.
Like the Blair Witch Project or something.
Blair Witch Project, True Detective, all those sorts of things.
Okay.
So Ivan Milat, let's get into Ivan's childhood here. He was born 2 days after Christmas.
That's kind of like Frosty the Snowman.
It's a little gift for you, Mrs. Milat. Here's an Ivan.
The 4th son out of 14 children.
Now, they were all... This is the best part. Like, in New York, it's hard to meet new people.
You
know what I mean? Because it's like you're kind of always stuck in the same circle of people. You got to date the same circle.
You got to go to Match.com, OkCupid, Tinder. Yeah.
Ivan Milat didn't get a chance to do that with his family, so they all had to fuck each other.
But you didn't need it. You don't need a Tinder when you have 11 sisters.
Mm-hmm. He was the son of a 44-year-old Croatian immigrant, and his mother was Australian, and she was half her husband's age. He was 44, she was about 20.
She was 22 and she had 14 kids? I mean, so she started at, what does that do the math? At 14 years old she had to be.
Well, no, they married when she was about 22.
Yeah, and then she started shitting out kids real fast. She went from being a tight 20-year-old Australian woman, which is beautiful.
Oh, of course.
To turning into a pup tent.
Dare I say a Zabrowski mother.
And of course, he did have a hallmark, many serial killers, quite a few hallmarks actually, but the first one is an abusive father. Said that his father...
the Croatian immigrant who forced 14 children out of his beautiful wife's vagina, he wasn't nice?
Ruled with an iron fist, his brother Wally said. That said that if you got into any sort of trouble, he'd whack you to the ground as soon as you came home.
I will say, though, parenting 14 kids...
Oh, I mean,
that's not easy.
You're not You're mostly what you do is you take the 5 oldest, you tie them to a tree. The last of them, the rest of them, what you do is you throw food out into a ditch and you see who eats the most.
Sure,
that's the new head of the kids.
I see.
Them up. Then
so the Lord of the Flies approach to parenting.
I mean, honestly, it's not too far off from their childhood. Because this is actually your breakdown is a fairly nice breakdown. I watched one that focused just on the family, and the family was a series of they were obsessed with guns from childhood. Obsessed with fighting each other.
But they were in the wilderness. I will say they probably needed guns for safety.
Yes.
Wild animals all around.
But then when the gun ban happened in Australia, they just kept their guns. But the thing is, they had like assault rifles and shit out on this farm, and it was also this weird battle between the brothers where Ivan Milat was the biggest, strongest, and smartest, so he could take whatever sister he wanted, and he could do whatever he wanted in the house. And his mom thought, what was the quote here? That he was an altar boy.
Yeah. Said there was never any trouble with him. He was an altar boy. And of course, he was also very good at math and arts in high school. His brother Alex said, Ivan was a bit smarter in the head than most of us.
Well, yeah, of course, when your parents are cousins.
No, I used to go into the peanut butter with my fingers, and Ivan would always say, use a fork. Like, that's how smart he was. I don't even understand.
He's the kind of guy who's always, that's what I just turned into. That's
He's
my
the kind
accent.
of guy,
He's the kind of guy who's always a tape of hate.
Let's just give it a Midwestern accent. That's what it reminds me of the most.
So starting at 17, this guy served 6 jail terms for breaking and entering, stealing, and car theft. His mother said that all of that was just because he fell in with the wrong crowd.
They kept saying that too. All the brothers out there was like, yeah, we'd act out. Yeah, we'd act out every once in a while. It's just like, but they were also all just like practicing rape. They're all like practicing being killers.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, it said that the brothers never gave each other up. They always covered for each other, and they said that the sheer number of sons in this family always led to confusion with the police.
And they all had that sort of Ren Fair beard with no chin part of the beard.
Right.
They all look like Civil War generals, and you can't tell them apart, especially when they're all buggering fucking Maisie Day.
Well, I don't think they were reenacting. They were real guns they were marching with, and they were extremely dangerous people.
So his sister died in 1971, and it said this is when Ivan snapped.
He liked his sister.
He loved his sister. He took it very hard, and this is when he went out and raped 2 women near Liverpool in Australia.
Some people make a nice monument for their family
I'll
member.
sit and I'll
they-
eat a whole cake in grieving.
Sure, or maybe maybe I'm going to become a very good soccer player. And I'm going to score a goal in the World Cup at like Mr. Dempsey, the great American hero in this last World Cup. His sister passed away,
But he wasn't
And
that big of a
dedicated-
hero because we lost, right?
Well, Henry, don't be a negative. Don't be a negative person. We got farther than people thought we were going to.
It's the only sport where we're constantly lauded for losing.
That's okay. We're going to get better, and we dominate the world in
Sure,
war.
yeah,
so
many
we're
things,
doing
yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
We still have drone attacks on a regular
no,
basis. But
he
he scored a
took-
goal and he dedicated it to his sister. But
Yeah.
Ivan, did he point to the heavens after he raped these two women and said,
Well, I'm sure
"This is for you"?
I'm
This
sure the
one's for
first
you."
thing he did was he cut open a squirrel and shoved it inside a hole inside of a tree so he could fuck it and still call it his sister.
Oh, a flesh tree.
Yeah, and then go back and then murder some people because the squirrel got cold.
Yeah, that would be the origination of the fleshlight, shoving a dead squirrel in a tree hole.
Interesting fact about those rapes is that was 20 years later. That was around the same spot where all of the murder victims would begin to vanish.
We're gonna see this again and again, where it's like it seems to be there's like this MetLife village of serial killers in the middle of whatever. What is the Belongolo State Forest?
Bagunga.
The
Bagunga.
No, Belongo. Belonglo.
All right, so this is his first, and this is his.
I'm gonna take a magical ship to Belonglo. Come with me, you tiny token flute. All right, I'll come with you to Belonglo.
You know, we're going to get this accent down by the time this episode's over.
Well, I'm betting against it. But this is the first time he's ever physically acted out in violence, right?
Yeah. Before then, it
I mean, he
all
was beating the
about
shit out of his brothers and raping his sister, probably.
We don't know about the. I don't think we know about the sister.
No, he was in a very. He was not only having sex with his sister, but he was having sex with each one of his brother's wives.
Yep, and he was also having sex with his cousin's wife, for she at 17 married him while she was pregnant with Ivan's cousin's child.
That's how much of a charmer he was.
That's what I'm saying.
But
I
it
feel
seems like, but apparently there was also that same woman. They were at a party and he said something about him. Like there was like making fun of something about like his boots, and he grabbed her by the hair, pulled her into the house, took a gun, put it in her to her face, and said, "If you ever embarrass me in front of my family again, I'll blow your brains out."
Well, that's just chapter 7 of the Australian Pickup Artist.
And you know, the family were not asked to the wedding because apparently there was a bit of a feud.
Oh,
going on at
the
time.
family members were upset that he had sex with all their wives?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, but we'll see a lot in these Australian killings is this sense of inferiority.
Yeah.
Where it's like these guys need to establish dominance. Ivan
Yeah.
Milat was like, again, it's like there's a lot about sex, of course, and just sort of like what you see often in rural killers is like they're done with fucking sheep. They're done with
Yes.
like fucking their sister. They want to fuck some new.
They're very stupid people.
They're very stupid.
I mean,
so
he
they
was
go out and get
probably
it.
the most mathematically sound only because he found a way to open up the square book.
Yeah.
You know?
And his wife said that he at this time became gun crazy, which in rural Australia, becoming gun crazy, I can only imagine what that fucking means.
Licking on it and doing whatever you could with
It's
it.
my wife now.
Oh yeah, ordering two at the Outback Steakhouse, which I hear is very popular there because your gun's got to eat with you and
Now,
stuff.
do the bloomin' onions, this is a question for Australians, do they grow naturally in Australia?
Can we go down and pick them?
Can we pick them?
on
I'd
a
love
holiday?
to get a good CSA bloomin' onion.
God, yeah, they don't have lettuce patches.
No.
It's bloomin' onion patches out there.
So Ivan beat the shit out of his wife on a regular basis. She got sick of it in 1987. The divorce went through in 1989, and by the end of that year, 2 hitchhikers, his first 2 victims, had gone missing.
So did the family know that so the family of this woman that he married knew that he was a serial rapist and potential murderer before they got married?
It just seemed like in the end, it's common mentality. You see a lot of like boys will be boys.
Right.
Men will take what they want to take. They're all down with the system. They're all fine with it. They're down with that. Like, they're very much so down with the system.
I don't know. If I was the gal's dad, I would not allow the marriage.
Except then he would probably take a knife to your throat and be like, "I'll take what me likes," and then you have to either fight him and establish dominance or not. We come from a softer area of life. We're comedians.
I do believe that you could have a drinking game competition and then see who gets the wife.
For the woman?
For the woman. I mean, it's Australia. There are rules.
The drunkest man gets the woman. Is that what this is?
I'm the drunkest and I'm still standing. and then you get her.
You know, I like him when he drinks a lot. It's when he only drinks a little bit that I don't like him. It's when he drinks quite a bit that I really like him.
That would make sense.
So that happened in 1989. His first victims, but the first victims would not be found until 1992, when a group of
Yikes.
orienteers found a decaying corpse at a place called Executioner's Drop.
This is not a part of the meeting at all. Oh no, these chicken bones. Oh, it's lady bones.
What's an orienteer?
It's a map game that they play.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's where they have two places on a map, and you have to go east, west. It's a whole thing where you have to try to find the place on the map, and you only have clues.
Yeah.
It sounds dumb.
Sounds like they should just play Grand Theft Auto or something.
It's called Hey Mary, you want to go play Getting Lost? Yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah,
Love
get
it.
lost in the fucking deadly desert where there's a ton of scorpions and spiders and big marsupials that will beat you to death.
Oh, yeah, the very violent thing.
And Belanglo Forest is the first place that had a wallaby came out to be the first mayor of Perth.
I did not know that. Yeah, Mayor Wallaby. Interesting. Got to vote for him or he'll punch you in your face a whole bunch of times.
So after they found the first body, couple days later, they found a second body 98 feet from the first. The bodies were identified as Carolyn Clark and Joanne Walters, two British hitchhikers who had disappeared earlier that year. Walters had been stabbed 35 times, and Clark had been shot 10 times in the head.
That's just way overkill on the abuse of bullets. I mean, 10 in the head. That's insane.
Well, this just also shows that he's in the middle of a rage. He has this rage against foreigners, people coming into his forest, that he feels that he needs to take it out on them because they don't know the real outback like he does.
We probably also just watched RoboCop and was trying to make him one.
Yeah.
You know?
Really weird thing about him, though, is that there's evidence at all these scenes that he camped out with the corpses for days at a time.
Yeah,
and stayed with the bodies.
He definitely was using the bodies. That's what breaks him from just spree killer to serial killer, where he's fucking these bodies.
You think he was having sex with them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was licking him a little bit, or probably talking to him, being like, "You're the only one who understands me, dead woman."
But possibly he shot the guy in the head once, and then went to sleep, and the guy was dead, and then he just like woke up every 3 or 4 hours and just kept it just for fun.
Yeah, I want to Gallagher him.
Yeah, that's what I like to imagine.
Yeah, I don't understand. If you find one corpse, you got to make at least 100-foot radius just around. Yeah. Just to see maybe there's another one. That's ridiculous.
So a year later, they found, in October 1993, they found a human skull and thigh bone in a very remote section of the forest. This guy, Bruce Pryor, was out exploring, found these things.
Bruce!
I don't know
Bruce!
The name Bruce. I just cannot not think of cut off jean short shorts as a matter of fact, exactly what Henry is wearing if you were wearing jean short shorts.
Tiny shorts, a big, like one of those like really thin Australian cowboy hats that they have. You know,
just out
kangaroo
there.
skin wrapped around my shoulders like I'm a prep school student.
Some people are going hunting out there, or some people are going to, scavenge for food, but he's just picking dandelions.
Name's Bruce.
So he brought the police to the scene, and they found another body there. Those were the bodies of Deborah Everest and James Gibson, his only two Australian murders. A month later, they found a skull in a clearing in the forest. The skull was identified as Simone Schmiedl from Regensburg, Germany.
And she was, these were actually all very gorgeous. Everyone was very like young and attractive that he got. Can you imagine that? Because Ivan was fucking disgusting.
Oh,
I keep thinking of Bill because Bill was in Wolf Creek 2, which fucking ruled.
I've heard it's very good. I have to see it.
Well, clothing was found near the body that was not Schmiedl's. Instead, that belonged to Anja Habschild, and she was found not too far away from the first body with numerous stab wounds to the upper torso.
Well, one nice thing about killing a bunch of German backpackers is you get all the schnitzel they were carrying with them. So that's kind of fun.
And you can collect all the Jew teeth that are dangling from their belts.
That was a long time ago, Henry, and I don't believe we should be victim blaming people who were murdered in the late 80s, early 90s for World War II.
They were not a part of the Nazi regime.
They were not. They are victims in this situation.
So near Habschild, they also found her boyfriend, Gabor Nagebauer.
Gabor did carry some anti-Semitism with
but
him.
it's only because he was bitter about his name.
Yeah, Gabor.
Because they kept calling him Zsa Zsa.
Yeah, hey, Zsa Zsa Gabor. I am not a homosexual.
I am not a homosexual.
Habshide, she was the one that was killed in the most brutal fashion. She was decapitated, and they never found her head. And Nagelbauer had been shot in the head 9 times.
Now, this is a killer, that is absolutely full of rage.
Yeah.
He shoots people in the head far too much. I just want to conserve more. It's upsetting. I just feel like it's upsetting. 9 times,
He's got
10
plenty
times.
of bullets. That's
Okay.
the last
Is
thing.
your
You're concerned about the bullets.
Yeah, your problem with him is that he's not frugal enough.
Well, I'm just saying. It's a head. I mean, how many times you got to shoot it? But either way, I mean, he wasn't rational. I mean, they told me he was good at math. That's all I'm saying.
It's not about the math.
Okay, well.
All right, he was actually technically doing the math. And he's like, 10 bullets, that makes for fine brain soup for the chipmunks out here.
Perhaps. Well, and the chipmunks might have been happy. I don't know.
So Henry mentioned earlier about all the victims. Most of them were found face down with their hands behind their back. They were covered in a frame of sticks and ferns, nice little pyramid. But they also had another unique injury. They had a stab wound to the upper back that severed the victim's spinal cord, which of course rendered them helpless, meaning that he could have spent a lot of time torturing these people.
And then apparently what he said too is that he learned that from a Vietnam buddy of his.
Ugh.
That that was a thing that they used to do to villagers in Vietnam. What a great war.
Wonderful war, and such a good one to fight because we have so much from it. We've gotten so much from the Vietnam War.
Apocalypse Now is a fantastic movie.
Yeah,
Full Metal
it's my
Jacket is a great
favorite
movie. Love it. Summer Rolls.
So really the only thing that came out of was it Martin Sheen? Martin Sheen?
Yeah, Martin Sheen.
Martin Sheen.
Yeah,
That's
he
the
was
only
in
thing
a
that,
part-
so we got the Sheen family.
The Sheen family
That's what Vietnam
to,
gives.
yeah, that's great. It helped us get them.
And now we have 2.5 Men.
Yeah.
Well, we had it anyway before Ashton Kutcher went in there and ruined an amazing sitcom that Charlie was starring in.
Another weird detail as far as the murders go, as far as the bodies go, they were found with their pants buttoned but not zipped.
Hughes wasn't taking the time. He's not paying attention to detail the way we pay attention to detail.
This actually kind of goes with the Detective Zabrowski theory that he began with gutted up squirrels inside of trees. The closest thing to that would just be a zipper undone, but the button's still buttoned.
Yeah, and him going,
kind of hurts with the button.
I like it when it's like a tube. I want to just put my balls in a tube. I don't need all this vagina.
Yeah. God, that seems like an uncomfortable place to put your penis. But I think that people were
I think it's
suffering
because
more.
you just shoving the pants on, then putting the pants on after they're dead.
Oh, you think so?
I think so.
I mean, who knows?
I don't know. As Henry said earlier, there is speculation that there was more than one killer involved. Some people say that there could have been up to 7 people involved.
You
in
mean
this.
all of his brothers and sisters? Yes.
This really is The Hills Have Eyes.
There is very true. They said his oldest brother, Rich Malat, is probably like the number one suspect. And it was like this guy that they were talking to in this documentary following the Malat family. And this guy was like, they were like, they ask him a question. Remember all these like quotes of being like stabbing a woman is like stabbing a loaf of bread. And so they ask him, he's like, so did you say that stabbing a woman is like stabbing a loaf of bread? And he's like, I might have, I might not have. I'll say things. I'll say things all day long. You follow me around, you'll be surprised what I say. I could have said that, or I could have not have said it at all.
He was
It is
being
convincing,
cheeky.
though. It is kind of
Decided
cheeky,
that moment to be cheeky.
He'd be super cheeky, and they also found possessions of the hitchhikers at his house, and a dead woman there that he just said was his sleeping girlfriend.
Yeah. I mean, stabbing a woman and stabbing a loaf of bread, either they're eating totally wrong bread.
It's that whole grain bread, that super thick bread.
Yeah, it must be. I mean, certainly not a Wonder Bread.
They say it's possible that these people are responsible for up to 37 murders.
Absolutely, because what it was, they tracked it down originally from was 230 suspected murders of bodies they found with no killer attached, and then they narrowed it down to 32.
Yeah, 32
Terrifying.
after they cross-referenced gym memberships and actual like weapons registrations.
I will say that the Australian police did a crazy good job.
Yeah.
For like even just getting him at all, because the evidence that they got on him was like, it was hard to get.
Well, I mean, they stopped at his house and then they found a bunch of it.
Yeah.
But then there was Paul Onions.
So yes, there was Paul Onions.
Paul Onions.
Also sounds like a character from H&R Pufnstuf.
It does. He sounds like a very tall man for some reason. He's stout, though, too.
I think he's tiny and thin.
Yeah?
Paul Onions. I think they call me that because I smell like an onion. It's not a creative nickname.
He's got to have that Richard Ramirez breath. No doubt about that.
Well, here's where you also get the Wolf Creek connection, because Paul Onions said that a man named Bill picked him up on January 25th, 1990. And he pulled a gun on Onions. Onions managed to escape, flagged down a woman named Joanne Berry, and reported the assault to local police, who, of course, never actually caught Ivan. But when Ivan saw the picture that was going out there, when he heard about all of these things that were going on in this area, he flew back to Australia. I think he was English, flew back to Australia, gave the police a description of his abductor.
Onions flew back.
Onions flew back.
Onions flew back, yeah.
Yeah, he was in a basket of onions, and he was just like, it's just me name.
Yeah,
you know, and they're like,
here,
you'll be identified as you should be, you talking pile of onions.
Bizarre.
He's like,
I'm obviously
a
a person, yeah, but no. So Onions is the one that did it to Ivan, huh?
Yeah, Onions was the one, along with the girlfriend of a man that Ivan worked with.
Yeah, that's why I cut out this dude I knew named Mike Carrots, because I knew that he was going to sell me down the river at any chance.
Elizabeth Radish, we could continue on. Becky Tomato, you know.
There was also evidence that both Richard and Ivan had worked on a road crew around the time and area of these murders. He'd also sold a Nissan Patrol four-wheel drive vehicle right after the discovery of the bodies of Clark and Walter.
He was also a constant problem with the police.
Yeah.
They were doing, the whole family would just do armed robberies for fun. Like, they would just go out and arrest people at gunpoint. Like, basically, they left from one town to another, like leaving this one specific police jurisdiction, and the sheriff of that police jurisdiction sent a sympathy card to the next police department, just being like, good luck with the mulats. They're a bit of a rapist over there.
Yeah, that's quite a lull situation. So they were sort of like that documentary, the
Wild and Wonderful Whites.
Yeah, Wild and Wonderful
Whites. Yeah, except
Whites.
murderers.
Yeah, not meth addicts. I mean, probably meth addicts too.
Yeah, and if you want to know how badass these guys were and how much of a reputation they had,
I mean, let's not say badass. Let's just say
they were hardcore guys.
Yeah, hardcore criminals. When they finally figured out that it was Ivan Milat, they got 50 police officers, including tactical units, to surround his house and arrest the guy.
We also had a cache of assault rifles and guns, and he was on there. He had a compound.
It's a little mini Waco.
Yeah.
Sort of reminds me of the Firefly family, too, in the beginning of Devil's Rejects, where the cops all just go in there and... Oh, my goodness.
And even though they found parts of a .22 caliber rifle that was used to shoot some of the victims in the head, they found clothing, camera equipment, and cameras belonging to several of the victims. Ivan's lawyer argued that in spite of the amount of evidence, there was no proof that Ivan was guilty.
Well, it's also kind of goes back to his original case when he was accused of raping, technically accused and acquitted of raping those two people at gunpoint when he first started, was that he has this very prominent defense attorney that was secretly homosexual, and he uses defense. They use his defense that the two women were lesbians, and that the reason why that it was consensual, that the rape was consensual, because all lesbians secretly want to have sex with men more than they want to have sex with women. And
this is the defense attorney's.
This was the defense attorney's statement, and it got him off. So Ivan Milat got let free.
Jeez, so he was like the same defense attorney as the one who represented Joseph McCarthy.
Yes,
the raging homosexual. What's interesting, if I was the defense attorney, I would have said all those cameras came from gutted bears that we had gutted during the woods, because everybody knows those are just thrift stores for outback Australians. You just gut a bear and see what's in there. You never know. Ooh, got a camera in this one.
All these talking bears are being shunned from their homeland to come
terrible.
to Australia and take pictures of the sites. You know, and they're just like, I just wish that I didn't have a scientist's brain inside of my body, and I wasn't forced to live this bear existence, because all I want to see is the sights of the world.
I'm sorry, bear.
So Ivan, after he was sent to prison, continued his fun little exploits. He once cut off his little finger with a plastic knife and mailed the digit to the High Court of Appeals.
Which that's not gonna get you.
No.
With a plastic knife.
Oh yeah.
How that's got to take
patience.
Was that days of work?
I mean, I don't really have any hobbies, so I understand that.
Yep. He also used to swallow razor blades, staples, other metal objects when he was in prison.
That's just kind of fun. That's kind of makes him a cool guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you want to talk about fun. In 2011, he went on a hunger strike, much like Anders Breivik went on a hunger strike in order to get himself a PlayStation 2.
Unbelievable.
Lost 55 pounds in the hunger strike.
That's a fantastic diet.
That is.
We got this paleo going on now, and people are losing like 15 pounds and then gaining it right back.
Can you imagine big, dumb, rural Ivan playing a PlayStation? It doesn't make any sense.
I like the game where you go and you hunt the girl down in the woods and you stab her in the back and then you rape her from the front.
Well, this one's called Tony Hawk Pro Skater. So actually, you just kind of skate around and try to score points and grind on lunch tables
I've
at the high
got to
school.
say, I wasn't expecting it, but this game is bitching.
Oh, I love Bad Religion now. A nice little epilogue to this story. In 2012, Ivan's great nephew Matthew and his friend Cohen Klein, that were both 19, they murdered this guy named David Ochterlony with an axe at Belonglo State Forest, the same forest where Ivan had buried his victims.
So don't go to the
Do not
forest.
go to the forest. But the idea is,
Belongo.
again, this shows that that it's just a pattern. They're being taught a pattern. Like they know this is where you go to put bodies. It's been like that probably for decades, and that's what they said. You can't even imagine. It's like 30,000 people go missing in Australia every year, and it's like those forests are just full of bodies.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
just like I mean, I definitely maintain that Texas has so many more serial killers than actually get caught because there are so many places to hide bodies.
You just go because you were talking about
absolutely.
how many times, especially with hitchhiker murders, if people are just if you're already sort of off the grid, you're really easy to fucking snatch up and put in the back of a fucking homemade rig that you've got, like that 18-wheeler killer that we had.
Yep, there was just that.
Yeah, we're definitely doing a future episode on highway killers.
Called trucking.
Yeah. Keep on trucking.
When the guns goes in.
It's great. No, it's great. It's the 1960s. It was so groovy.
No, it's a different time. Great. So this has been Ivan, huh?
Yeah, that's Ivan. Ivan Milat. We've got another backpack murderer who only killed one person, but he does have a very interesting story behind him. This guy
Big
named
Bradley.
Bradley Maddox.
His nickname was Big Bradley. He was 6'4". He was a big old dude, and he said apparently that was his whole thing, is that they thought that he would be innocent of any crime because he kept saying, he's like, I don't need to punch anybody. I'll just look at him.
Big Bradley
Big
Murdoch.
Bradley.
I agree. Yeah,
That's a very Australian thing for a man to say.
Yeah.
He supposedly murdered, and I say supposedly because there is a chance that this guy could be innocent.
Sure.
I mean, there is a chance.
I'm saying there is some evidence to point to a possible innocence here, including the infamous Red Rooster argument, but we'll get to that later. He supposedly killed this guy named Peter Falconio in July 2001. He also supposedly assaulted his girlfriend, Joanne Lees. Falcone's body was never found, despite one of the most exhaustive police investigations ever seen
Sounds
in
like
Australia.
Falconio was a Staten Island Italian detective who just got like way off the case. Just like ended up in Australia.
I don't know how I'm here, but I gotta say I love this brown sauce they got on everything.
Yes, those are the bloomin' onion patches. I see you found it.
So Lee said that the duo were traveling at night near Barrow Creek on July 14th, 2001. Oof. They said that they were flagged down by a guy who said that he had trouble with his car's exhaust.
No, they never do. They never do. Everybody who is in Australia in the outback knows that they have to have a car that works. Yeah. They just don't bring dead cars.
Well, the big thing too is about Bradley Murdoch was the fact that he was a drug runner.
Yeah.
His whole truck was outfitted with a fake gas tank that was full of cocaine, and he knew the backwoods of Australia incredibly well, which is sort of how he got his job. Basically, every time he was trying to be kept a part of society, he'd like flip out and be like, "I need to be in the outback," and he would just drive up into the outback and live in a fucking shack and drive a truck back and forth loaded with cocaine. And so he was also a bit paranoid.
Yeah, I have a feeling he might have been using the product, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, might have. So Falconio, he got out of the van to help. Lee said that she heard a gunshot and thought that Falconio had been shot dead. She said
was
that,
hoping.
Yeah.
They were having a bad vacation. That was like one of those vacations. You know when you break up on a vacation for a
it's
couple
the
of
worst.
days? Yeah.
It's the worst.
Yeah, it's like, he wouldn't pack up the fucking sleeping bag last night. I hope he's dead.
So So Lee's, she got grabbed a hold of by our man. She had her wrists tied together. He put a sack over her head, forced her into his ute. She said
His ute?
His ute.
His ute?
Yeah, that's what they call four-wheel drive like utility vehicles in Australia.
They call it a ute?
utes.
Yeah, like noggins. Noggins is slang for feet. Bobkins are slang for pockets in your pants.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
lollies. I didn't
Yeah.
read about lollies. That means candy. So
Oh, I didn't
It's
realize
short for
that.
lollipop. That
Sure.
makes sense. None of the rest of them do.
the rest of it's fake.
Yeah, and glumpin' palms.
Interesting
they
fact
used
about
to eat out of.
So she said that she escaped the ute. She fled out into the brush, and she said that she hid in the bushes for 5 hours while Murdoch tried to find her with his dog. And of course, never found her, so she escaped.
Well, I'll tell you, that's a bad dog. He probably just had a Pomeranian or something. Was it a Maltese? I mean, what kind of
he
dog
said-
was it?
He had like a cute little. He had like kind of like a hound dog. I
Yeah.
felt like Elvis Presley. He had a dog that was used to smelling for blood, and he said that dogs were the only thing any man could trust.
Yeah, I suppose that
Except
is
not in
true.
this instant because that dog fucking failed.
Definitely. Well, maybe the dog got into his stash and was just blown out of his mind and couldn't find the
What
girl.
he needed is one of those swords like Frodo had that
Yeah.
made glued when
You've
the
seen
orc
this
showed
blade
up.
before.
You know, he needed one
Right.
of those, but for almost raped blonde women. You know, like a shining sword that has to be like as a woman. Who
So
hasn't
Big
been
Bradley
raped yet.
Murdoch, that would be what the one thing you needed.
Yes.
Was Frodo's sword. Big
So
Bradley
that would-
Murdoch.
So you're saying if they moved the filming of New Zealand to Australia,
Things could have been different.
Would have been a different different movie.
It was also would have been he would have been hunting after Ian McKellen and what's his name out in the forest. Can you imagine that if fucking Bradley Murdoch showed up into the set of Lord of the Rings, and then of course Aragorn's gonna show up. He's gonna save the day. That's
Sure,
why you
maybe.
better watch. You don't go to New Zealand because you never know when there's gonna be a hobbit or a warrior there. It's gonna make sure you don't rape anybody.
I would agree with that war. I would be on the side of the make believe fictional characters that Mr.
J.R.R. Tolkien.
created.
So 2 years after that appearance, Murdoch was charged with rape and was found to have a possible connection to Barrow Creek.
And the nickname for rape in Australia is Binocky-Knock.
But not,
You know, I don't think they take it very seriously there.
It doesn't sound like they care enough. I'm
No.
going to say that.
No.
So Lee's had a piece of clothing from that night, so they checked the DNA, and the DNA of the blood on Lee's clothing matched that of Murdoch.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And then it's sealed and done.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
So it's done. So he's in jail now.
so he is in jail now. However, Murdoch does maintain his innocence. Defense lawyers say that police procedures were not followed correctly, that Lee's testimony was inconsistent, and furthermore, it was impossible for him to have committed the crime because he was nowhere near the crime at the time.
They said he was near a gas station that was quote unquote near the crime, but the gas station was an hour away.
It was 100 miles away.
but it also
100
seems,
miles,
But
yeah.
in Australia, you can do that on a kangaroo's back. It seems like
No,
100
laws
miles is
still
close.
apply. Laws of like physics and things. 100
that what
miles. Yeah, it's 100 miles still.
I
yeah.
thought everything was covered with oil, so you move super fast.
Yeah, but you don't get to go that, and then with the sliding back and forth, you actually lose time.
Never left the country. I haven't been watching World Cup, so I don't really know what goes on outside of here.
Yeah.
It's also said that Lee's incorrectly identified both the vehicle and the breed of dog that belonged to Murdoch.
Solidly done.
Not-
so
not
what's the
a
only
great
thing? So
witness.
what is an alibi? What could possibly prove that Bradley Murdoch didn't do the crime?
Well, here is where the Red Rooster argument comes
Now,
into play.
Red Rooster, explain it. Is it a
Restaurant.
It's a restaurant.
It's a KFC. It's
Oh,
Australian
yes.
KFC.
It's a chicken place. So Lee said that they stopped at the Red Rooster restaurant.
Sounds good though.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah.
sounds real good.
Look at the order. It sounds really good.
Yeah. And yeah, Murdoch said that he stopped at the same restaurant to buy chicken for himself and his dog. He said, "First thing, Alice, pulled into the Red Rooster, chicken roll, box of nuggets for Jack, full chicken for the trip."
I will say he's treating the dog too well.
Full as chicken.
He's got. I mean, that dog's
Yeah,
gonna be
that
crapping
dog-
all over the car.
That dog needs to be treated with more violence if you want it to kill more women.
I mean, that's the thing. The dog's got a full stomach full of chicken poppers. It's out there, got the rumbles. It can't find a woman in the woods.
So what Murdoch said is that it's possible he did cut himself while at the Red Rooster. So he said since they were there at the same time,
because his fingers are breaded. They were naturally breaded.
he got
thought that they were
confused.
nuggets. Yeah.
and he says that it's possible that the blood from the cut possibly got onto Lee's shirt at the Red Rooster.
So that's where he met Lee.
Yeah, that's where he met Lee. He said that he met her at the Red Rooster and that he was not a part of these crimes.
Was
he
this
says,
before or after her boyfriend was murdered?
Before.
Before, this is when then he tracked them, right? He said that he met her, he got blood on her, and then she left, and that's how he was put at the scene of the crime.
Yeah.
But according to April 2006, the Bulletin reported that Bradley Murdoch had to be refused to be served chicken while incarcerated during his committal and trial, claiming he was allergic to it. And you see, so if he's allergic to fucking chicken,
They have French fries
he
over there,
went
I'm sure.
into a chicken house. He went to a
The house
place
of the
of chicken. And how can a man who's allergic to chicken go to a place that's got chicken fucking particles just to fly through the air?
It's like having allergies and going into a beautiful wheat field. You know, you wouldn't do it.
No, you can't do that.
No, Henry, the chicken was for the dog. The chicken was for Jack.
But you would still need to transfer the chicken to the dog, and if he puts, everyone knows that a chicken allergy involves boils and sweats. You get
Everyone
boils in
knows
your
it.
hands, even just contacting chicken.
I
And you
don't-
start to sweat profusely just being within 3 yards of a living or dead chicken.
I have never heard of a chicken allergy before, and frankly, I don't believe it's true.
I don't think it's real.
No.
I don't think you can be allergic to chicken.
Of course, you can be allergic to anything.
Can you be
Says
allergic
what?
to beef? Can you be
Yeah, you can be allergic to milk.
I'd like to see a fucking second of evidence
Yeah,
saying that
one-
anyone is allergic to beef.
1 second of it.
Just come on, show it to me.
Later. I don't have time right now.
All right, well,
because
fine.
we've got to get to Paul Stephen Haig.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so that's it. So Murdoch killed one person.
Well, maybe.
But this is a part of, again, the big breakdown is like that is a part of a group of people that were probably all responsible for backpacker murders that have been happening in Australia literally for as long as there's been backpackers. Like it's just a part of it. They're all over the place. As soon as you sort of like kind of like lift the cover, you see that there's like 15 guys that have been killing hitchhikers. It's not safe. Go with a gun. Like you need to at least know somebody.
yeah.
Or know somebody who knows the area instead of just finding some random dude to take you up the mountain. Like call ahead of time. Get a travel agent.
Well, Paul Stephen Haig,
Yeah.
this guy, I believe that this guy is kind of special. It's weird how he does share some things with other serial killers. He kind of has the same mentality as a serial killer that kills prostitutes because he believes that they're whores, because that they deserve it.
Again, we see the same thing. It's this inferiority complex that these guys have.
Yeah, but he did not kill any prostitutes. His was a very crime motivated. His murders were very much motivated by criminal behavior. This was all in the 1970s. He killed 7 people in between 1978 and 1979. His first murder was a Tatsloto agency worker named Evelyn Adams. She was age 58. He said that he blamed her for the shooting because she provoked him and was, quote, disobedient by resisting instead of allowing his armed robbery to, quote, go its ugly way.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he shot both of them. He shot the owner and he shot the girl working at the place.
Yeah, he
So
shot.
they got killed for trying to be heroes, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, he also killed Bruno Cingolani. He was 45. He was the pizza shop operator. And
Which is just like, you can't be more stereotypical than that. His name is Bruno Cingliani. He's the pizza shop owner?
Of course
You know what
he
I mean?
is,
What are
yeah.
you, born with a handlebar mustache? He's got like mozzarella fucking sticking out of his shoes?
Yeah, well, the whole thing's been produced by Michael Bay, and it's just me full of stereotypical characters.
he shot him in the face with a shotgun, point blank range.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's going to ruin the pies.
There's nothing Italian about that.
Nope, nothing at all.
So in 1979, he started killing associates of his that said that he said that they knew too much about his crimes.
Which is so ridiculous. And that's because he told them.
It's a conundrum. Yeah, it's a real. Hey, I have a very important secret that I have to tell you. But if you tell anybody, I will kill you. And the fact that I tell you that now I know that you know the secret, I might have to kill you too.
Hey,
You
listen.
want to hear it?
Listen. Hey, listen.
Hey,
I'm going to tell you
I
this
killed the
secret.
pizza shop guy.
I
killed the pizza shop guy. So now you know it. So now, Henry, I know that you know it. I killed the.
You thrilled the pizza shop guy. Of course, because you went in and bought so many pizzas.
Wonder if anybody knows that I killed the pizza shop guy. If they do know, then I will have to kill them. I did tell Henry.
Hey, Paul, you're really talking a lot out loud in the middle of our Settlers of Catan game.
You did, Henry.
So he shot Wayne Keith Smith, who was 27, and he also shot his girlfriend, Wayne's girlfriend, Shell Gardner, 31, and he also shot Gardner's son, Danny, who was 10.
Yes, and this guy is such a monster. He didn't really take blame for the killing of the child.
No, he said that it was the mother's fault.
Yes.
because she put him in a terrible situation by being a witness.
But I don't think the mom knew that she was about to witness a double murder.
I think that she got
Or be a
chosen to
victim
be.
of
Yeah,
one.
they all were made into witnesses immediately and then made into victims immediately.
I always find it's not the witness's fault because they just didn't know.
They don't want to be a witness.
I turn around if I even see the most suspicious of things. I don't want to see anything.
But we have to also acknowledge that all of these details come from the fact that Paul Haig wrote a novel like not 2 years ago. I forget what it was called. It was called like The City of Blue.
Something
Something like that. Basically, he wrote this novel from jail, blaming all of his victims.
Well, this is sort of his version of the O.J. Simpson book.
Yeah.
isn't
If
it?
I did it.
If I did it. Yeah.
Except he's saying 100% I did it, but
I
it's
did
not
it.
my fault.
And and what's some of his rationale again? Yeah, kid had to be. Mom brought the witness and all this.
Yeah,
stuff.
he said, you know what, killing kids, it's against the criminal code, but she was a shitty mother, so what other choice did I have? He said that
you could have taken the child on a large trip, like the movie Dutch, and then you guys could have bonded together, and you could have taught the child the ways of becoming a man.
Or like Home Alone 1 and 2, but actually get the child to the trip.
Get him, reunite him. I mean, you couldn't reunite him with the mom or the. Yeah, when they kill the family, it's tough.
He said that he consoled the boy for a little while before eventually deciding to shoot him 3 times in the head. And he added, I didn't like that kid very much.
Well, who likes the kid? But he also said the same thing with Ivan Milat. He used to kind of do the same thing where he would take one. That's why they said there was also the difference between, like, they thought that maybe there was more than one killer because one he would shoot in the back of the head and the one he'd stab and rape and then stab a bunch of times. But the one that he would shoot in the back of the head was, I guess, the one he didn't want. And then he would be like, it's all right, I ain't gonna kill you, I ain't gonna do it, and then make them close their eyes and then he'd shoot him in the head, which to me seems
I like that better.
Yeah, but you're gonna get shot in the head if you're told to close your eyes.
Oh yeah, and I'll tell you. You know what I'd never understand, and this doesn't really relate to these stories, although it might. The dig your own grave thing. You know, when somebody has a gun to the back of your head and they say, "Start digging," no. You shoot me and then you dig, you fat ass. I'm 6'7". You got some digging to do. I'm not digging my own grave.
That's why I keep saying this. I will not be a quiet victim. Any killers who want to come get me, you ain't going to get it anonymously because I'm going to be screaming a whole bunch and I'm going to be thrashing. I'm going to thrashing. I'm going to grab at you. I'm going to poke at you. I'm going to go like,
I'm doing a tight 10. I'm going to do my Letterman set. Come on.
So Haig's most brutal attack was committed against his girlfriend, Lisa Brearley.
I can't believe all these guys have girlfriends.
Yeah.
Every one of them.
All of them do. Women love a bad boy.
Treat 'em mean, keep 'em keen. I heard that in Wolf Creek too.
That's terrified.
Haig, he stabbed her 157 times after allowing another man to rape her at knife point. Haig said, I only intended to do 20 stab wounds.
Of course. Absolutely minimum, maximum.
But he lost count.
Yeah,
And so he
not the
kept having to
smartest guy.
start over and over and over and over again.
But this is the thing. Don't you realize, like, if you've lost count like 3 times, you got at least 30 in her. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Then you could always just count the holes. You know, you could figure it out probably.
And he said that he let the other guy rape his girlfriend so his DNA would be connected to the crime. And so the other guy would stay quiet about it.
Oh, a flawless idea.
Yeah, well, I mean, Franklin
truly.
cover-up. It worked for them.
Yeah, this is a little bit different than that. I don't think it's quite as organized.
And you want to talk about blaming the victims? He said of his murders, they were, in the context of the criminal world, understandable and appropriate.
Well, he's been in jail. He's had a lot of time to think about
Right.
this.
Yeah, of course.
And I mean, you know, again, not to victim blame, because we do not victim blame, but these people were close enough to a sociopath and a serial killer to get murdered by him.
But
these were not random backpackers.
No.
These were like
but
friends.
this was the problem. It's like it was again. It's this weird thing. We all have fucked up friends. Like
No,
I have a
not like
a
this.
true murderer, not a killer.
I mean, well, That's why I don't live in Texas anymore.
You got away because you got away from them.
Yeah, just get out of there. If you got a guy who goes by a name like, it's like they call me Dangerous Dave, and they're like, oh yeah, I like to shop with a knife in my boot.
Right, but when he was in high school, that's Gary Silverman, the only Jewish kid we have in the class. And now he's Dangerous Dave. He's changed.
Yeah.
Come to New York.
So Haig didn't kill again until 1991, although he had been in prison for quite a while. He killed sex offender Donald George Hatherley in a jail cell. To the small amount of credit I'm going to give this man, he did kill people who were in the criminal game.
I don't think the other people were in the criminal game. I think
Except for the 10-year-old boy.
Except for the 10-year-old boy,
well,
which
he could have stolen some candy or something.
You never know. The 10-year-old boy, and then of course the 10-year-old boy's mother. But the one kid that was good, or the guy that was good friends with him. I mean, you know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
It's like when I'm hanging out with Henry. I know that if we go out to dinner, I'm going to eat unhealthy.
That's right. And that's why you stick by my side.
Almost, yeah.
And all you got to do is also, if you want free drinks, just find me about 2:45 in the morning because I got my card behind the bar. And sometimes it's easy to just throw things on there because I'll be like, yeah, it's a party.
This is party. It's just me and him, and then Marcus shows up. And
We're
the whole
having
damn
a
thing
party,
starts going.
all around having a party.
Three's party.
There's nothing better than when Henry goes in an audition and doesn't nail it because we just get drunk and drunk. Oh, it's wonderful.
So Haig's last victim, how he killed him, he claimed that he assisted Hatherley to commit suicide by placing a noose around his neck, kicked a cupboard out from under him, and then pushed down on his shoulders. He described the killing as, quote, a growth experience.
Now, when he says growth experience, I really hope he means emotional and not like he got hard.
He means emotional. Yeah, it wasn't a physical.
I read that book, Eat, Pray, Love, and I was just trying to find my own inner happiness.
I hate to say this, Paul, but Eat, Pray, Love is just about eating carbs and going to India.
Yeah, but I couldn't. I can't. I don't. No good carbs in prison, and I can't travel.
So today we don't have time to get into the fourth one that we were going to.
Oh my goodness!
Go into.
Well, the next one is actually such a big one. It's the Snowden murders.
Oh yeah.
That we're going to do. We're doing a second part. I honestly think this was kind of covering sort of the backpacker murderers and sort of next episode we have got some grisly fucking murderers.
Yeah.
So okay. Anyway,
these guys that today are just hilarious hillbillies.
Hilarious. The bogans.
Ding, ding, ding,
I
ding,
just
ding,
don't
ding,
understand
ding.
what people say when they say it's kind of dark humor here on the show. So what happened with Haig? Still in prison now?
Yeah, Haig
wrote a book a couple of years ago.
All of the guys that we talked about today are still in prison, still alive.
So Ivan Milat, big old tall
Big Bradley.
Bradley Murdoch,
Crikey, mate.
and Mr. Haig. And Marcus, I'm going to give you the award for the best Australian accent of the podcast.
I get.
Yeah, you really nailed it.
You get the golden boomerang.
I'm sure all of our listeners will be sure to let me know that even though it was the best, it was still terrible.
And a general audience question is that Murder Fist is going to be in the Wisconsin area from July 9th to the 16th. And if you want us to maybe do a show in the Sheboygan area, would you come to it?
All
That
right.
is the question.
Go to it. There it is.
Yeah. Email capecomedyradio@gmail.com and I'll forward on everything over to Henry. Or just get all of the fucker on Facebook.
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook.
Yeah.
You can find him on Facebook.
And speaking of Facebook, be sure to go to the Last Podcast Facebook page and join up there. We got a great little community going on. And, of course, our live show is the fourth Saturday of every month. Here, this time, we got a guy coming out from South Carolina to see the show.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
That's Marcus Parks on Twitter. I'm Ben Kissel on Twitter, and that's Henry Loves You on Twitter.
I am full of spicy lamb meat.
You are now?
Yeah, I went to a Szechuan meal before this.
You did?
Wow.
Yeah.
At like 1 o'clock in the afternoon?
You bet your sweet fat life I did.
Were you the only one in the restaurant?
No.
I didn't even think those places opened up until around 4 or 5.
I made them open up.
You made them open up.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.
Hail
Hail
Satan.
yourselves.
Halgene.
Help me!
And, Magustalations. And,
Hey, Magustalations.
Hey.